Hey guys, TerrorPUP here, aka Chuck Payne, and we're going to continue part 1. And today we're going to be talking about Remote Desktop Protocol, RDP. Part 1 of my Learning Linux are tools that you can utilize to connect to your Linux server or Linux workstations, and these are tools I feel that are best and easy to use. One of the reasons I chose RDP over VNC, and VNC is virtual network computing, is RDP already comes with Windows Pro. It's in the Google Play Store and it's in the Apple App Store, and it's real easy to install on a system that is running a GUI interface. And I apologize for that. I'm actually running right now Dex on my Note 9 because I wanted to show you guys just how easy RDP is to connect to a Linux system. So you see I have the VNC viewer here. Okay, and I have the RD client on there, the remote desktop client, and both of these are very useful. And I also have another SSH tool called ConnectBot that I can use to connect from my phone anywhere in the world to a server. So these are great tools, and in the weeks to come, I'll be updating UglyScale Press, and I'll be actually putting together a whole part 1 of all these tools you can use. So we're going to use the remote desktop client on my Note 9. And again, just do a search in the Google Store. And this is the official Microsoft app, like I stated. And we're going to click into it. And as you can see, I've been using this. I have a couple sessions that I already connect to, but I want to show you guys how easy it is to set up for a new client. So I'm going to press the plus sign. I'm going to tell it to add a PC. It does a quick scan, and these are all Windows servers that are running XRDP, and apparently I got one out there that has the same host name, and I need to fix it. But we're not going to be connecting to Windows. No. Again, this whole course is learning Linux. And I have several workstations in my lab that are running XGNOME and Wayland, and it lets me allow to connect. X is the term that we usually use when we're talking about connecting to a Linux desktop. So I'm running X, so I'm going to go ahead and press add manual, and I'm going to come up here, and you can connect two ways. You can use a fully qualified domain name, okay, or you can use an IP. Now I'm going to select an account that I've already used, okay, and that's up to you. Like, one of my accounts I don't have a user listed, one of them I do. But when you click here, just to make it quicker, you can tell it to ask when you log in, or add a new account. I've used these two accounts to log in previously, so I'm going to go ahead and select TerrorPUP. And the other thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to give it a friendly name, something that I can remember it by. The rest of these settings are things that you can adjust. Like, if you don't want it to play sound, you can come down here, okay, and tell it not to play sounds. If you want the sounds to come out of the speakers on that remote device, you can. Or if you want it to come out on this device, you can do it here. Gateway is if you were using like a security protocol between you and what you're connecting to. Right now I don't have anything because everything's local. Other things we can do is I can tell it I want to connect to the storage over there. Clipboard, that's a real useful one because we could do cut and paste. I'm going to leave it off because I'm on my phone. But here in a couple minutes we'll run remote desktop from my Windows desktop, just to show you how easy it is to cut and paste between the two. Okay, and now with all that saved, we will save it. And as you can see, there's the new remote desktop session, and I'm going to double click in it. Another reason that I'm showing you guys remote desktop protocol is when we go to install our Linux client, okay, we are going to actually be using Oracle's virtual desktop, and it actually has a area under connection where you can turn on remote desktop protocol, and you can actually connect to it, okay, using remote desktop protocol if you want to. That's very useful if you have a machine that you're using, let's say Mac, and you want to be able to connect from another source. You can turn it on. Or if you just want to have your Linux session headless, it's very nice. So, alright, the two previous sessions, like I was telling you about, it saves snapshots so you can remember what you've connected to. So let's go ahead and connect. It'll pop up and it will ask for the user's password. And again, RDP, if you were connecting to a system that was connected to free IPA, that is a nice little service so that you can set up a user into that, tie all your workstations to that server, and you don't have to have passwords all over the place. It's a central location. So I got my password in there. We'll hit continue. Alright. Normally it will pop up a warning that you're connecting to a system that has a self-signed cert. Do you want to connect? Just go ahead and hit yes. I did some testing earlier. I wanted to make sure this goes smoothly, and I did hit yes. It saved the information even though I didn't save the session, and that's why we're able to get in. So here we are. This is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. As I said, my Learning Linux, we're going to be focused on SUSE and Red Hat because I want people to see what you would use in a corporate environment, and not a lot of corporations use Ubuntu. I know Ubuntu tends to be very popular with developers and home users, but like all the corporations I've worked at, we've used either a flavor of Red Hat or we used SUSE. This is GNOME Desktop. Okay, and to get to our applications, we'll hit Activities, and it has a little taskbar on the side. Click the little waffle iron, and you can see all the applications that are installed. Okay, this is a fresh install, so there's not much here. Okay, GNOME is one of those user interfaces where they were trying to make it where you could run this on any device. So it's not bad, but I prefer something that's more, I guess, Mac-like, Windows-like, well, more Mac-like. So we're going to log off of this real quick. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to connect. And to disconnect when you're done, you'll find your user and you'll log off. Don't hit the power button because you could shut down a system, and if you're in an environment where many of you guys are using it, you could lock them out. Don't worry about this. Essentially your session it's ended. I don't know why it's getting this 0 code 204, but that's fine. Hit close. And just to show you that it did save my last session as a icon, we'll get out, get back in, and there you go. Alright, I'm going to log into this session now. Okay, this is another RHEL instance. This is running Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. Okay, and I installed what's known as the extended packages. Okay, not extended packages, sorry, the EPEL packages, and that's a large collection of packages that allow you to run stuff that's not part of the Red Hat Enterprise repos. And we'll talk about that when we're installing applications. Now, I know many of you are probably going like, wait, how is Chuck able to run Red Hat Enterprise Linux? Well, believe it or not, you can sign up for a developer's account with Red Hat, and they give you a couple sessions that you can use. This is Xface, a little bit more user friendly. Okay, very much kind of like Mac OS. You got your old Docker session up there and your applications down here. Again, RDP, easy to install on a Linux session. We'll talk about that as we're doing our installs. But now I have a means where if I need to go through and do some work, like I was running JMeter, so I installed OpenJDK over here so I could do some development. Okay. The other thing that I needed to do was run some Ansible playbooks. So not this session. I have another Red Hat desktop that I have all my development tools on, and I have Subline Text on there, and it's a great tool. So, all right, let's go ahead, log out. Okay, and we'll hit log out over here. Remember, we don't want to power off. Again, don't worry about the error. And now that I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and end my session with Dex. Alright, so now we're on our Windows desktop, and to find remote desktop, we simply click the magnifying glass. I've already found it once. On Windows it's called Remote Desktop Connection, but if you can't find it, just type out the word remote, it'll pop up and you can use it. Here is our desktop. I've already connected to the remote desktop before. Okay, and the reason I have to keep dragging it over is for some reason it keeps wanting to go to my primary where I have my recording session. So hopefully we'll see if we can get it to pop up over here. Okay, this display connection bar when I'm in full screen is very useful, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it to utilize the 1080p because I want you guys to see the full experience. The reason I'm not doing a full desktop is it would pop over on my other screen, and I got to drag it over here, and if it's in full desktop mode, it's not going to do us much good. Again, you can tell it to play sounds either on this computer, the other computer. You can tell it to record from this computer if you're doing a recording session. Alright, you can set up combination keys. Now, one thing it's going to do automatically where we were telling it in the Android mode was it's automatically going to hook up the printer and keyboard for this computer. Okay, but for right now I'm going to turn off printer because I don't have one. And then you can do some stuff where you can tell it, you know, that you are on older, slower networks. Really doesn't matter anymore. And then advanced is like, this is what I was telling you guys on the Android, that it, you know, it would pop up and ask to warn me. I like that because then that way if I was connecting to a friend's computer, I can see what their security settings are. So I'm going to go ahead back here. We're going to hit connect. It's going to go ahead and warn me. I'm going to go ahead and tell it not to ask anymore because this is my network. And if you're just curious, like I told you, it's a self-signed cert. RDP was the one who created it, and it issued it to itself, so it is a self-signed cert. You can install a cert so that way it'll stop warning it, but we're not going to go over that. And we're going to go ahead and hit yes. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to go to full screen. And then I'm going to go ahead and type in my user and my password. And we're back into the session we were a minute ago. Now on my other screen real quick, I am going to launch Notepad. And I'm going to highlight some text. And I'm going to do a copy. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to open up Office. Well, not Office. Here. We'll open up VI. And I'm going to press insert, and I'm going to do a right mouse click into it, and I'm going to do a paste. This is the information I had copied over there. So remote desktop protocol is very useful that if you are working with a web page and you need to paste and copy some commands, you can do that. And I'll do that there. Voila. So remote desktop protocol is one of those that's really useful, and I highly recommend that you install it on something you can use. Again, it's part of the Apple store, so if you are on an iPad, iPhone, or your Mac, you can install it there. Android, you can go to the Google Play Store. As you guys saw, I was using Dex. Dex is a nice little tool so that I can have kind of a portable laptop without carrying a laptop. All I need is a cable to connect to a desktop. Actually, you can even bypass a desktop, and if you had a USB-C to HDMI, you can connect directly into a monitor that supports HDMI. Dex will pick it up and you can run it there. And then of course, if you're running a Linux machine, you can run XRDP there, but what's the point? You would just install an application that would that can do X protocol. Believe it or not, with a lot of your enterprise Linux OSs, they do have a remote desktop protocol tool in there. So if you were on a Linux workstation and needed to connect to a Windows workstation, you can. All right. Next week, we're going to talk about VNC, the Virtual Network Compute. And after that, the following week, we'll start part 2, installing Linux. And again, we're going to use virtual desktop for this course. But when I start talking about it, I am going to talk about Linode, Vultr, and Ocean Digital, Digital Ocean. Because if you don't want to install virtual desktop, but you want to have something that's out there, Linode, Vultr, and DigitalOcean are great things that you can use, and their prices are great. I'm just going to recommend, as you're learning Linux, unless you're trying to get an AWS cert, avoid Amazon services until Amazon realizes that they can't use the roll of the dice to keep coming up with their pricing plans. It's not something best for those who are learning. Until next time, this is TerrorPUP. Have a good one.